What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be T.I. and Tiny Friends and Family Hustle, season 1, episode 6. So look, this episode was very political. There were a lot of political things that went down in this episode, and a couple of things that hit close to home for me personally, right? So we start the episode off, we see where T.I. is filming his new video with Meek Mill. And, he talks about how him and Meek Mill have known each other for a long time and how he signed Meek Mill to Grand Hustle when he was like 16, 17 years old or something like that. But then they got into talking about prison reform because, Meek Mill had the whole situation where he went to jail, where his probation had been revoked and that whole situation. And he's actually been working on prison reform since he got out. And I want to say either he met with Donald Trump or he was going to meet with Donald Trump. Don't quote me, but I know that he was actually going to meet with Donald Trump if he did not actually do it. And T.I. was saying how he really respected the fact that I'm sorry, y'all. Whew, I got some family stuff going on and y'all just don't even know. That's why all these videos is late. But anyway, whole other conversation. So he was saying how he really respected the fact that Meek Mill is really being proactive and being a part of the whole prison reform movement, and all that good stuff. And Meek Mill was saying how he had been on probation since he was like 18 years old. He's now 33. He is still on probation, and he's going to be on probation until 2023. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of his situation, but I'm one of those people where I'm like, you know what, if you do the crime, you do the time. However, it can be excessive. I don't understand being on probation for damn near 15 years. That's a long time to expect someone to be perfect. Because that's really what probation is. Probation is that you ain't going to go anywhere you're not supposed to go, be with anybody you ain't supposed to be with, say anything you ain't supposed to say, do anything. You know what I mean? That's a long time to just be not make any mistakes. And he said, growing up in the hood, growing up in the, in the neighborhood that you grew up in or whatever, he said, you could catch a charge just because you're in the car with somebody who has drugs. And that's just your friend, that's your homie. Y'all known each other y'all whole life. But when you grow up in a environment or in a neighborhood where every other person is a drug dealer, or every other person may not even be a kingpin, they might just be selling dime bags on the corner or whatever. But now you got caught up, and now you didn't caught a charge. And so he was saying, those are some of the laws that need to be rewritten because now you got a conspiracy charge because you got a ride to the 7-Eleven with a dude who's selling drugs, and the police got them on the radar. And so, you see that happen a lot where people get caught up in that mess. They get caught up in that stuff. Then we saw Toya and Reginae. She went to go visit Reginae on the set of her pilot. She's shooting a pilot, which I believe actually got picked up, and it's going to be a show that's going to come on, I think TV1 or OWN or something like that. And she was just saying how she's proud of her. She said, I'd rather be visiting. I still would rather be visiting you on a college campus, but at least you are out here. You're auditioning. You picking up some jobs. So for that, I'm proud of you. And she was saying, I'm glad to see that you're not on social media as much, doing the whole clap back and getting into, the mess and the beast with the social media or whatever. I'm glad to see that that's not, that's, how that's working. And, then she was talking about her mom. She said, it's really been working with her backing up and not really giving her mom her space and stuff. Her mother's writing a book. And she said, I told my mom, when you finish the book, I will get it published. Toya has published a few books. So she has a relationship and she could get the book published. So she said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get the book published, So, later on in the episode, we see where her mother actually bought the book. Because at first her mom only had like 5 chapters. But we see where her mother actually brings a finished product. That she's finished writing the book. And her mom definitely has a story. Because her mother was on drugs. Her mother was out here doing what she had to do to survive and deal with her habit. And so she actually is telling her real story. Which, Toya was saying, look, I don't like hearing these stories because I lived it. But I also know that my mom sharing her story is going to help somebody else. And she said, and I'm going to keep my promise to my mom. I told her she bought me a finished book. I would get it published. So she said, you will be a published author. Respect. Like, I can't do nothing but respect that, Toya. I like Toya. Cause Toya, I like how Toya moves. I really do. I like how she carries herself, and I like how she feels about stuff. So I like that. Okay, back over to the Harris family. Tiny wants to do a commercial for Eris's nail polish line. She said, they got a lot of buzz from it. She said, but I know the buzz only lasts for so long. We got to keep pushing. So we want to do a commercial, and I want it to be a family affair. I want the whole family to be in the commercial. I've already kind of come up with an idea and a concept of who's going to be what and how you're going to, what parts you're going to play. And King tried to take it over. King was coming there like he was running stuff, talking about he going to be the manager because he thinks that he would be a good manager. King is a little arrogant, little something, okay? But we find out later on that King is actually getting in trouble in school. And T.I. has to have a conversation with Mr. King. And this is where it got personal for me. So T.I. is talking to King, saying, look, you're failing in your grades. Your teacher said that you are talkative, that you're always on your phone. Here he go. What most kids say, I don't talk that much. I'm not on my phone that much. I only talk every once in a while. And usually I'm talking because I'm trying to find out what's going on. And the teacher say, what you talking to him for? Obviously, because you ain't teaching. See, that right there? First of all, your ass didn't hear what the hell the teacher said because your ass was on your phone and not paying attention. She said, Tiny said he be going live and shit from the classroom. See, that's that bullshit that I'm talking about. As an educator, that's the shit that I deal with. So when I heard him, I heard everything he said. And I said, what he's saying is some bullshit. I hear it. I hear the bullshit because I deal with the bullshit. Your ass is in class cutting up. And T.I. said that not only is he failing, but he's being very arrogant in how he's failing, right? Basically, that's a real, T.I. way of saying he being disrespectful. So, and T.I. ain't have to tell me. The way you just said what you just said tells me your ass is disrespectful. Because your teacher gonna see that. Like, the fuck? So T.I. said, he said, I'm a real laid back dad. I don't ask for two things of my kids. I ask them to do good in school and respect their elders. I don't think I asked for a whole lot. He said, but when I do my part, and you don't do your part, then I feel like you playing me. He said, so when I feel like I'm being played, I'm going to treat you like I treat people in the street that I feel like is playing me. He was like, so here's what's going to happen. I'm about to take away all of Mr. King's distractions. So he don't have nothing to do but do his schoolwork and get his shit together. And if there's a problem and he still don't bring these grades up, here you go. Ass whooping will ensue. And he kind of gave that camera to look like and say something about it. I ain't mad at you, T.I. I ain't mad at you at all. And I got... As somebody who deals with that bullshit all day long, and then I got to deal with parents that make excuses for their kids' behavior or come up with reasons why their kids should be able to use their phone in class and all these other things, I respect a parent who says, you know what? Nope, it's not acceptable, and I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to handle it. Thank you, T.I. Appreciate you. Now, then we see when T.I. went to visit his oldest son. His oldest son goes to Georgia State, and they got to talking about generational poverty, basically. And what I mean by that is, when people, especially non-minority people, when they hear you make these comments about how the system is stacked against minorities or the system is stacked against black people, they don't understand it. Like, well, if you got the will, you can do better, you can get yourself out of your position, you don't have to stay in the hood, They come up with all these different things. And what ends up happening is they don't see the little things that are put in place that keep you in poverty. And I'm reading Michelle Obama's book right now, and something she brought up in her book where she talked about how her uncles and her family had these great skills. They were carpenters, they mechanics, it was somebody else in her family. But because they couldn't get a union card, because they wouldn't allow black men in the union, her uncle, who was a great carpenter, he couldn't get the really great high-paying carpenter jobs because he couldn't get in the union. See, that's the stuff that we're talking about how the system is stacked against black people, and no matter, it doesn't mean that they can't get out of it. It means that it makes it even harder. So whereas her uncle could have been, think of carpenters and architects that you know now. And think of all the things that her I think it was her grandfather, maybe not her uncle, her grandfather. Think of all the things that he could have been able to do, but was shut out of and was reduced to having to just do the jobs that nobody could afford the union carpenter for. And so it didn't mean he wasn't talented. It didn't mean he didn't have the ability. It meant that because the system was set up the way it was, he wasn't allowed or wasn't able to get everything that he, to be put in a position to create generational wealth for his family. So that's what we talk about when people don't understand. They say, oh, black people just making excuses. Oh, da, da. Those are the things that people don't see who are not in the situation and understand how that creates a generation of poverty. That's when people say, well, slavery was over, 100 years ago. Why are people still talking about it? Because ever since slavery, systems have been put in place to keep us in a subservient position. Like, that's why. So anyway, I'm coming back down. But that's what this episode had, a lot of that in there. Then we saw a scene with T.I. and Killer Mike, where they're going to Bankhead, and T.I.'s actually reinvesting into the community, and he's bought some property that he's going to turn into some retail space and try to bring some business into the neighborhood. And he was saying, why is that always the goal? Why is it always the goal to get some money and move out? Why isn't it the goal to get some money and reinvest? And, and they talked about, people like LeBron James who reinvested in his community, and how, it's people that do it. But far too often we see people who get out, and I ain't even just talking about rappers and entertainers, people just in general. They go to school, they get a good job, they get out, and they never come back, and they never reinvest. And, he was like, we got to change that mentality of getting out and thinking that now we've reached the promised land, that's it. We can't always just think about it like that. And so again, like I said, it was very political. And then the end of the episode, he had a voter registration drive, and unfortunately, things didn't work out for Stacey Abrams down in Atlanta. But again, I love to see people who use their voice for good. And so there's that. So anyway, let's get back to the other part of the story that sort of pissed me off. So we see what Monica is still dealing with the situation with her dad, on how should she talk to her dad and how should she approach the situation with her dad. But the one thing she was clear with is that she's decided she is going to have a conversation with her father, but that she is not going to do it for the camera. She said that conversation will remain private. Now, she may share with the show the results of the conversation or how the conversation went, but she's not going to exploit that conversation for the show. Again, y'all know I love me some Monica anyway, but I gotta respect that, to say, look, I'll discuss it for the show. I will let you know that this is something that's going on in my life, but this is a real situation, and I haven't really talked to my dad in a long time. I'm not going to exploit that conversation for the purposes of this show. I will let you know how it went. Respect. We see a girls' night out, and the girls are talking about, Toya was saying how LaToya Luckett was saying how she appreciates the fact that Toya is supporting Reginae. She said, I know you're probably disappointed in the decisions that she made. She said, however, I'm glad that you're supporting her because, all of us started in the business early, and had we had parents who didn't support us, where would we be? How would our creative side have come out, We also found out at the dinner that Tiny's a little frustrated with T.I. because she wants King in this commercial. And she said, it's a family commercial, and she understands what's going on, that King should be punished. She said, but, maybe I can get convince T.I. to let him do the commercial. It's only for a couple hours, then he can go back to being punished. That's the fucking problem. Then it's not a punishment. If he still gets to do what he wants to do, then it's not, by sheer definition of the word punishment. It's not a punishment. You should have went on. Because she ends up going to talk to T.I. And this is where she kind of pissed me off. She arguing with T.I. talking about, I'm his mother too, and I think you're doing too much, and I think he should be able to do the to do the commercial, because what's the purpose? It's supposed to be a family commercial, and the family can't be in it, so that's going to mess the whole thing up. No, it's not. Do the damn commercial without him, because see, now you have made him miss something that he really, really wants to do, which creates a situation which makes the punishment worth it, to make him say, oh, damn, next time, I'm going to get my shit together, because this is what happens when I don't do what I'm supposed to do. I miss out on these types of opportunities. See, that's was the perfect time for you to move forward. It'll be other commercials. I doing the whole damn TV show. He alright. He is alright. And I understand that your concept was this family concept, but guess what? He'll be alright if he missed this one situation. Y'all been doing shit all y'all lives. He will be alright. But that's what's going to make him feel it even more. And that's what's going to make him get his shit together. And the next time he want to be smart with his teacher, maybe he'll think twice. The next time he want to pull that phone out and go live while he's in class, maybe he'll think twice about it. See, that was the problem. But she, and T.I. told her, T.I. got real irritated. He was like, see, this is the problem. Every single time, he said, this is why he is the way he is now. Because he gets in trouble, and then he runs to you, or he runs to his grandmother, and then give y'all the little puppy dog eyes, and then y'all let him get whatever he want. He said, and that's the problem. He was like, he will not be in this commercial. I don't give a fuck. He was like, I don't care who in the commercial. I don't care who the commercial for. He will not be in this commercial. And I respect the fact that T.I. put his foot down, and he was clear in what he said. And Tiny, this is the second time that you've done this. In the end, she agreed. She agreed with Tip, and she was like, sometimes it just irritates me when I feel like he doesn't take me into consideration, but he's right. And I was like, but then she decided not to do the commercial. No! Do the commercial. Just let him, he fucked up. And he missed out. Do the commercial. Anyway, but yeah, so she ended up relenting or whatever. But like I said, I appreciate the fact that T.I. was like, nope, this is what it is. He fucked up, and this is the consequence. Because that's really part of the problem is that kids, and it's not even just kids that come from a privileged background. Kids, when they're not held responsible. They're not held to a standard, and they're not the rules are not being enforced, and so then they don't learn any consequences for their behavior. I deal with it every day, and I'm not dealing with rich kids who got rich parents. I'm dealing with everyday kids, dealing with everyday parents who just allow them to do whatever the fuck they want to do. So the next time they go home and they cuss their mama out, then it's gonna be a whole nother conversation. See, don't get me. I'm about to go down another line. All right, y'all. But that's how this episode went down. It was a lot of politics, a lot of social issues being discussed. And again, I can appreciate that T.I. and Tiny are using their platform to try to bring some awareness or what have you. And y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.